Hi everyone, this is Shakir Naseer here with the tutorial video titled Archaeological Survey in District Nushki, Balochistan and Assessment. I am Shakir Naseer and currently I am serving as the head of the Archaeology Department at the University of Balochistan. As you can see in this slide, this research work was a segment of my M.Phil thesis, which was supervised by Professor Dr. Zakirullah Jan from the Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar. Before going into deep this lecture, I am also going to give you a slight introduction of Balochistan's archaeology. Balochistan is quite famous for its pre- and proto-historic cultures and sites throughout the South Asia. Balochistan was a neglected province in terms of archaeological and historical sites until 1970s, when Mehergarh was discovered and excavated by French archaeological mission. Mehergarh site was discovered in 1973 by Jean-Francois Gérige, the head of the archaeological mission of French team in Balochistan. It was from there Balochistan was deemed as a nuclear cultural zone, comparing with the earliest Neolithic and agricultural settlements of the Persian and Far East, such as Mesopotamian and Egyptian regions, back to the 8th millennium BCE. Now Balochistan was able to cope with the Western diffusionistic models or Perso-cultural influences formulated by the leading archaeologists of the time, known as McCown, Stuart Pigott, and Mortimer Wheeler. Of course, it was the region of Balochistan which provided a complete comprehension and illustration for the growth, development, and diffusion of the Indus civilization from late 8th millennium to 2nd millennium BCE. However, coming for the today's discourse, which is archaeological explorations in Nushki, Balochistan. As you can see in this slide, the lecture contents. Of course, there are more content or outlines, but this lecture will be confined with the ones mentioned here. The geographical location of the Nushki district, archaeological significance, aims and objectives, history of archaeological explorations in Nushki, the current archaeological surveys, research methodology, gazetteer of archaeological sites, major vessel forms or profiles, the lithic finds or implements, tentative chronological chart, and finally the conclusion. As you can see the map here on the right, the geographical location of the Nushki district. This is a segment of the archaeological map of Balochistan, which is not complete, respectively. This very area is the discourse of today's lecture, District Nushki. The district Nushki is strategically located in Balochistan, linking Afghanistan with South Asia, sharing boundaries with Cueta in the northeast, Chagai in the west, Haran and Kalat in the southeast, and Afghanistan in the north. It is also one of the segments of the vast territory of the Rakshan Valley in the northwest of Balochistan. Currently, this whole division, as you can see from here, Nushki, District Chagai, Haran, and Washok, was formed as a distinct and 7th division of Balochistan province. The total geographical area of Nushki is approximately 5,800 square kilometer, which makes it the 12th smallest district in Balochistan in terms of geography. Nushki is above 900 to 1000 meter above mean sea level. This is a bigger picture. This map will illustrate the archaeological location of Nushki with the surrounding archaeological sites which are already excavated in the region. This very region is known as Kachi Plain, where the famous archaeological sites of Mehergarh, Lal Shah, Sibri, and Perak are located. As you can see, this very region is located in the east of Nushki district and Sohordam Nal, from where the famous archaeological culture of Nal was obtained. In the very north, you can see the archaeological site of Mundigok, Set Kela Tepe, and Demorasi Gundai are also situated in the Kandahar. Share Sokhta is also located in the northwest of Nushki district. And the other famous archaeological sites of Iran, such as Tepe Yahya, Kunar Sandal, Bampor, and Share Sokhta, are also located in the vicinity of this very district, which is an intermingling region for connecting these old cultures between the east and west. Archaeological significance. Nushki has played a vital role in the origin and development of the ancient cultures of Balochistan, Iran, Afghanistan, and the Indus civilization, either in one way or the other. The district has been used as a corridor connecting the ancient Fars with the India before and during the Greater Indus civilization. The recent explorations show that the district possesses rich archaeological sites of considerable sizes scattered all over its enclaves and long desert plains that connect Iranian Sistan in the west and Afghanistan in the north. The aims and objectives of this research work was to document and record all the archaeological sites and monuments in the region. For your information, I would also mention here that this region was a neglected area in terms of archaeological explorations. This region has never received proper archaeological explorations throughout the year. Only some of the sites of this district were mentioned, such as Mahgule Gumbud and the archaeological site of Nushki, known as Nushki Kalat or Nushki Dump. And the second aim of this research was to learn and establish a cultural profile of the district, to understand the nature of human settlement of the periods whose sites are found in the region, to investigate the paleo-ecological environmental setting of the region and reconstruct the ancient landscape of the region in the light of collected data, to know the rise and fall of various cultures and understand their relationship with one another, to assess the overall significance of the sites and cultures of Nushki and the surrounding regions, especially in the development of urbanism in South Asia, to understand and highlight the role of this region in the growth of the Indus civilization, as Balochistan is considered the core region for the growth of the Indus civilization, to highlight cultural influence on the archaeology of this region from Iran, Afghanistan border regions. A brief introduction of the archaeological explorations which were carried out prior to my investigation in district Nushki. In Nushki, short-term archaeological activities were first started by travelers such as Henry Pottinger back in 1810, who described the past history, culture, and geographical location of the district supported with his maps. After Pottinger, in 1843, Charles Mason, another British historian and geographer who traveled through the desert of Nushki and mentioned the people, ruins, history, and geography of the region as well. Sir Oral Stein, the first trained archaeologist who also carried out some explorations in district Nushki. In 1904 documented only 2 archaeological sites in Nushki, a prehistoric mound buried below the bungalow of the then political agent of British India, an Islamic period tomb locally called as Mahgule Gumbaz or Mahgule Gumbud. The current archaeological surveys. A team of scholars from Balochistan Study Center, University of Balochistan, Cueta conducted a random survey of a few sites in Nushki back in 2011, highlighting the significance and archaeological value of the region historically. With the support of Balochistan Study Center, I started my explorations along with the local assistance of Mr. Wahid Amir Baloch, Lala Tahir Khan Mengal, Aji Abdul Hamid Badini, Nakumi Yandad, Abdul Hannan Jamaldini, and some other notables carried out 2 preliminary surveys where some of the sites were documented during 2015 and 2016. It brought into light very fruitful discoveries, and the following sites were discovered. The first site which was surveyed during my exploration was Bhattu Archaeological Complex. I will later on explain why this site is considered to be as a complex. The second site was Jatti Kalat, and the third site was Seva Kalat. Similarly, Rahmanzai Kalat, and the fifth one Sohor Damb, sixth one Syah Damb, seventh Badalkaris Damb, Khazanagi Bot, Nokjo, and Hotani Rek. Damb is a Balochi neologism which means an archaeological mound or a raised surface. As you can see, this picture is very clear. The main mound of Bhattu is probably a Zoroastrian fire altar, a place for Zoroastrian worship. This is completely round from the top, and it looks like as it was used as a Zoroastrian altar or a fire worshipping place. There are of course masonry walls which are also visible at some instances. Research methodology. This was not a government sponsored research, so it was considered to be as an individual survey with the support of local notables. A survey kit was prepared including all the basic essential tools which are used in general archaeological explorations. For mapping of the archaeological sites, I used GPS locator machine as well for taking the coordinates. Snowball sampling method to locate the sites with the locals. Of course, no one knows the entire district. The people usually ask the villagers where the sites were located to locate the actual location of the sites. Then I prepared a survey pro forma, and site descriptive method was also used in this survey. Surface collection was the main objective of this survey in order to date these sites or the collection. After the surface collection, post-survey laboratory works were also carried out. This entire research work was cross-dated. Cross-dating of the collected finds with the already excavated sites of Balochistan. Bhattu Archaeological Complex. Now coming here, why this site is called as a complex. The Battu, which is historically mentioned as Al-Battu by Ibn Haqqal, is a group of numerous types of archaeological remains that comprises a mound, cemetery, tombs, kilns, and other habitational structures. Now, as you can see, these all structures are scattered in a radius of 1 kilometer. That is why it is called as a complex, where multiple types of archaeological sites are located. The archaeological area is named after the Battu Halk. Halk is a Balochi neologism or a term which is used for village, located in the Ahmadwal Union Council, lying 21 km south of Noshki Bazar. The archaeological area is named after the Battu Halk or village. Tentatively, the complex can be dated to the 7th to 8th century CE of the Sasanian era in Balochistan. Some of the pics of these ruins. As you can see, these two are burial chambers. One is also located in the south of this picture, or this chamber, or this tomb. The below picture are the ruins of Battu kiln. Here I must mention that these all structures are made of sun-dried bricks with the application of mud mortar. The second site which was selected for archaeological dating was Jatti Kalat. Jatti Kalat is located 1.8 km west of Battu Gumbad. The area is also in the vicinity of Ahmadwal Union Council. It is a small mound with a low elevation, however culturally very important, as this is the earliest village recorded in the district. The site, based on surface pottery fragments, has four main periods, ranging a date from circa 5000 to 3100 BCE. The first period, as you can see here, is Birch basket marked pottery culture of the Cueta Valley. This culture was first introduced by an American anthropologist, Ashley Fairservice, during his excavations and surveys in the Cueta Valley in 1951 to 52. The second period of this site is Togo A and KGM cultures. The third period is Kechibeg culture or Kechibeg wares. The last is Cueta and Anjira ware cultures. This is the pic of the main mound of Jatti Kalat from the north. This is not a very large mound, but a very small mound like Kiligul Muhammad, but culturally very important. This is a ditch dug by clandestine diggers at the archaeological site of Jatti Kalat. Some of the pottery fragments drawn during this survey. It was the only technique for me to carry out a tentative dating for these all pottery findings through the drawings. This is also another picture of the archaeological findings of the Jatti Kalat site. Another picture. The third site is Rahmanzai Kalat. Rahmanzai Kalat, sometimes also pronounced as Rahman Kalat, is situated 55 km southwest of Nushki city. It is contemporary with the site of Jatti Kalat with one more extra period on the basis of pottery findings. It is a large mound with a towering summit with a late British period mud occupational level. The site ranges dates from late Neolithic, which is equal to Mehergad 2nd B, to early Harappan sequence, with the date from 5000 to 2600 BCE. Of course, again I will mention here that these dates and periods may vary if proper excavations are started at this site. The first period is considered to be as Birch basket marked culture. The second period is Kiligul Muhammad ware or Kiligul Muhammad culture. The third is Kachibag cultural ware or Kachibag ceramics ware. The fourth is Cueta ware or Cueta culture. And the last one is Priano reserve slipped ware. I only found one sherd from this ware. This is the large mound of Rahmanzi Kalat from the northwest. It is a very large archaeological mound. These are some of the basket mark or basket impressed pottery found at the archaeological site of Rahmanzi Kalat. And some other sherds which are also painted. I did not know the actual size or dimensions of these cultural potteries, but when I drew their drawings, then I became able also to see their rim profiles or basal remains or thicknesses or the complete dimension of the ceramics. This is the map showing Nushki with the distributions of Neolithic sites of Rahmanzi Kalat and Jatti Kalat. This is the archaeological site of Jatti Kalat, and this is this Neolithic cultural site of Rahmanzi Kalat within the locality of Nushki district. Seva Kalat site. This site of Seva Kalat is situated 53 kilometers south of the Nushki Bazar. It is a small mound with a late period lumped made clay fort on the top. Its covered area is small with a high summit of 11 meters. The site has four major periods ranging a time period from 3600 to 800 BCE. Again, this dating comes merely from the dating of ceramics or the pottery cultures found at this site. The first period found at this site is Kachibag, and the second period is Anjira ware, and the third period is Harappan culture or Harappan wares, and the fourth and final is Londo ware. Londo is a late dated pottery found mainly in central Balochistan and northwestern Balochistan. This culture was termed by Beatrice Descartes during her excavations in 1957 in Balochistan. This is the main mound of Seva Kalat from the southeast orientation. As you can see, this is the mud fort or the remains of a mud structure found at the top of this site. Some of the pottery findings of the Seva Kalat sites. These were the original findings found at the site of Seva Kalat, and these are their illustrative drawings. Again, some other sherds, now a bit finer with levigated soil or clay. These are very typical types of Londo culture found by Descartes in northern or in central Balochistan. Siadamb. This site is located in the Dark Valley, or desert area in the west of Nushki district. The site is located in the neighborhood of Sohordamb, approximately 6.9 km in the north, 7.5 km north of Zanginawad, a famous natural lake, 2.5 km west of Hazarjopt Halk and Ahudak Halk in the west, about 5.7 km away. It is a large mound with a reasonable height, looks like a spot on the dark plain when seen from the aerial view. The pottery is abundant on this site with a fine smooth surface and geometrical and faunal representations. The site has four main periods with starting dates from 4000 to 2600 BCE. The first period is Kagem type ware or Kiligul Muhammad pottery. The second is Kechibeg cultural ware. The third period is Cueta ware or Cueta pottery. The final is Fez Muhammad grey ware. This was the only site in district Nushki which provided us with Fez Muhammad grey ware, a famous archaeological culture found first in Cueta district by Fair Surveys. This is the picture of Siadam showing from the western side with present structure of poultry farm. Of course, this is an illegal encroachment to cover the illegal diggings which were carried out by the locals at this very site. The pottery and ceramics of this site is very beautiful and very thin. Some other pictures and drawings of the pottery culture found at the site of Siahdamb. Again, some other shards with their drawings. As you can see, the buff ware which is illustrated with zoomorphological or geometrical drawings. Sohordam Dak. Sohordam is another archaeological site situated 26 km west of Nushki city in its desert enclave. It is lying close to Siadam, about 14 km from the Pak-Afghan border. It's a low mound with a small covered area with a red burnt ashy soil atop. Three main periods on the basis of pottery assemblage have been observed. The first period, which was recognized as Kechibeg. The second period on the basis of pottery collection is Proto-Elamite or Cueta ware. The third and last one is Elamite type pottery or Harappan period pottery or Harappan ware. This map is showing the Elam from where the Elamite culture is originated in Iran. This is the Rangiana region where today's district Nushki is located. This map and this line stretched here is showing the connection or the trade work between these two regions. This is the archaeological site of Sohordam in the dark plain with its reddish soil and rubber trench, as you can see here. These are some of the drawings and pictures of the pottery found at the site of Sohordam. Again, some other drawings. I found also another mound which is locally known as Badalkaris. This was the only Islamic period mound found in the vicinity of Badalkaris, after which this site is also called as Badalkaris Dam or Badalkaris site. It is located close to Rahmanzai Kalat at a distance of about 3.5 km in the north. It's an elongated mound with towering height. Pottery is scarce at this site. Some are only found with crude textures. The other findings include triangular shaped plaques with an early Islamic horizon. This is the archaeological mound of Badalkaris. This picture here presents the drawing which shows the major vessel forms or vessel walls found throughout the district Nushki. These are some of the drawings of bowels with their rim formations or rim sizes, and these are jar rims types or typology. This typology was constructed on the basis of drawings. This slide is showing the lithic implements found at the sites of Nushki. We found only one alabaster fragmented bowel. Stone implements is scarce at the archaeological sites of Nushki. However, we managed to find some blades and some cores like here, as you can see. The distribution of main sites in Nushki is shown from the district map. This is the Nushki headquarters, and this was the last site found at Nushki, known as Seva Kalat. And this is the archaeological site of Siahdam. This is the archaeological site of Badalkaris. Similarly, this is Rahmanzai Kalat, and this is Khazanagi Bot, and this is Sohordam. The tentative periodization of the sites of Nushki in the light of previous explorations. This chart better illustrates the cultural setup of Nushki with the comparison of famous archaeological site of Mehergarh. 7 sort of cultural types or wares were found at the archaeological sites of Nushki, with the date from 5000 to 12 to 800 BCE. This is the time chart or the chronological chart for Mehergarh, and this is Rahmanzai. 5 periods were obtained from the Rahmanzai archaeological site, and this is the illustrative chart of Jatti Kalat, and similarly Siahdam and Sohordam, and the final one is Seva Kalat. I will try to conclude my today's lecture here. The short-term surveys carried out recently led to the discovery of many ancient cultures that were already evident in other areas of Balochistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. Many of them were even beyond the timely scope of the greater Indus civilization. More generally, these cultures were diffused from both spheres, that the pre-Indus sites of northeastern Balochistan and the pre-Iranian civilization of the Zagros Mountains. However, the earliest Balochi cultures we found were only coming from Cueta, Klat Plateau in Balochistan. The Proto-Elamite or Elamite and Zoroastrian influence from Iran. In short, the region of Rakshan Valley could depict the rich cultures of these two borderlands with intermingling interactions. Nushki, like the other areas of Balochistan, was playing its cultural role in the establishment of ancient cultures as it was on a link route from east to west. If proper archaeological explorations and excavations are started, then for sure it would reveal more promising clues in the reconstruction of the past history of the region. Not only here, I will also try to show you some of illustrated pictures of Nushki landscape. The famous Black Roscoe mountain range in the back, as you can see. This range runs throughout this region from Washuk to Haran and from Haran to Nushki within an approximate length of 320 kilometers. This picture illustrates two unfired containers or storage jars for keeping grains during the off seasons. They are locally called as kuli. Such structures and large storage jars are frequently found from the archaeological sites of Balochistan. The use of such containers is still evident in these regions. The adobe-made kitchen outside from the lumped wall with a raised platform for sleeping outside at nights. This is of course a desert area. That is why people here make certain structures to keep them away from poisonous snakes or scorpions during summer. This is a locally made stable or in Baluchi called ward for keeping sheep and goats. This whole region gives a prehistorical society. If one sees it carefully, the village is quite far from the modern use of scientific tool. As you can see here, it is a nawad. Now what is a nawad? Nawad is a local term used to refer to the water tanks, which are made artificially by digging a large but shallow ditch surrounded with soil deposit. It plays the role of a perennial supply of water, which usually remains for 3 to 7 months in off seasons. They are usually covered by cultivated oases much surrounded by trees and shrubs. Nawads are often used locally for domestic use of water. Source and supply to their domesticated animals. These nawads are sometimes naturally made too, like the Zaro nawad situated in the border of Nushki and Chagai, further 10 km south of Afghan border. Look at the beauty of this picture. The houses are made of sun-dried bricks and mere adobe or the natural sources only were used for the reconstruction of these structures. This village or hulk is some 50 kilometers away from the Nushki Bazaar. This desert has an elevation of more than 60 feet from the surrounding level. It is well known all over Pakistan with the golden desert of Nushki. This desert further stretches to the west to Chagai and Sistan, Iran. And from here I want to end this lecture session. With best regards.